Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final boarding call for the good ship SS Tomorrow.
Today on The Friendly Futurist, can you become whoever you want to be on the Metaverse? And welcome back. And we haven't had a trip in the good ship SS Tomorrow for quite some time now. Now, we're not going anywhere forward back in time physically on the ship. I'm going to take you a cook's tour. Let's go down to the officers' mess hall. Besides the mess hall, we've got the holodeck. Let's take a trip inside, because you see the holodeck has an advanced version of the Metaverse already programmed in. As we're going to go on creative adventures today, let's come prepared. So let's first of all go to martial arts school. Do you know Kung Fu? Take me down. Okay, now we seem to get to a black belt level. Let's reload the holodeck and let's take us back, some 6,000 years in time and watch the pyramids getting built. Fascinating, isn't it? You see, it's not actually slave labour, it's actually crafted stonemasons building it, and there's no actual evidence of ever been any aliens. It's fascinating stuff, isn't it? Right, let's go forward in time. Let's go to the American West in the 19th century, aka the Wild West. I hope you come in training, because you just built a black hat's drink. Here comes a barroom brawl. Now let's take it forward in time and let's witness history in the making. Let's sit back on a boat and witness the D-Day landings at Normandy.
Everybody down!
I know what you're thinking. War's not your thing. You'd rather get your boogie on. Let's go into the 70s and go to a disco instead. As you can see, an advanced metaverse can actually make you feel like you're transcending time and space. In fact, let's go right into the future and see how everything is right now. Let's go to the year 3021. Wow. And this is the point. What the metaverse is doing is transcending your hardware. It's gone beyond your Oculus glasses and your phone and your laptop security screen. In sometime in the near future, we're going to have Retina standard definition processors. That means we can have things coming out 3D all around us. In fact, the metaverse will transcend into our reality and vice versa. But there's one question remaining. Can we assume a new identity? And what I mean by that, can we change our appearance? And also, can we change our voice? To go incognito into many metaverse worlds without harming ourselves, without literally trying to trigger some sort of butterfly effect, and now the whole matrix gets reset. Today's guest is achieving just that. His name is Jaime Bosch. He's from Valencia in Spain, and he's the founder and CEO of Voicemod, which is an application used in the gaming community that allows people to alter the voices, but also it allows for non-verbal people. And you might remember back in Series 1, we were actually chatting about how AR can help the disabled community. And this is building on that. This is a very fascinating discussion, and Jaime is coming up after the break. finally got Jaime from Voicemod over in Valencia in Spain. And we're going to continue our theme about the metaverse, and this time it's about changing our voice in the metaverse. And Jaime, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dave. Thanks for having me.
De nada. And can you first take us back to the beginning and tell us about the origins about Voicemod?
Well, yes, the origins of Voicemod was a little bit long ago. So this project started with two of my brothers. So the co-founders we are brothers. We started this project inside former company that we had. So this is like a project that borns inside another project.
Wow.
And the very beginning was because the first iPhone that came to Europe, the iPhone 3GS back in 2009, came into our hands, and we decided we wanted to make our own B2C product. We are musicians, the three of us.
Okay.
I myself have studies on audiovisuals. So we went to the audio and interaction and social communication side. And so we ended up making Voicemod.
Cool. And next question is, why build a voice augmentation app?
Well, at the beginning, as I mentioned, it was more like an exploration of the technology. So it was the first time we had these touch screens that work in real time with audio. So at the beginning, the first versions of Voicemod were more like an experience of interaction, you hearing yourself and being able to modify your voice with the touch screen. So it was a little bit more of an experience app. But suddenly turn it into evolving communication and evolving human connection. So at the end of the day, why building a voice augmentation app is because we're building the future of social audio experiences that I think is a great topic to work on, to be honest.
Absolutely. And this podcast is all about the future. And of course, this is all from the gaming universe, of course, we're going into what's known as the metaverse. But for those who don't know, can you explain what the metaverse is to the average guy on the street?
Well, there's out there many different concepts around the metaverse. So I would say that at this point, we have the Snow Crash, Ready Player One kind of metaverse that is basically a fully realized digital world that exists beyond the analog world or the real world that we live in. But to me, also the metaverse is a world where you can experience a variety of many different virtual experiences, environments, gain assets, collect assets. And basically I see this as an augmentation of the real world, of the analog world, and opportunity to bring different experiences to many different people and to make possibly the world more inclusive than it is today.
And can you share a few of these different experiences that you've witnessed so far in the metaverse's creation?
Well, these different experiences can be all the way from being in a different place, like being in a different 3D space. It can be, for example, one metaverse today can be Fortnite, Roblox. These are like the early stages of the metaverse in which people are really not gaming but not making social. It's like a mix between both of them. And on these environments, they have the possibility to be, for example, to look like a different person or not even a person. So to have like their digital avatar, their digital identity. So this is one of the biggest parts to me for the metaverse, the fact that you can really become whatever you want. And for our part of the metaverse, Voicemod will allow you to sound the way they want to sound and be heard the way they want to be heard.
Absolutely. And I think we're likely going to touch on this. Is there any other applications for changing your voice that's out there in the universe, the gaming universe or the metaverse out there?
Well, we're exploring different ways to do it. For example, one of the ways that we are exploring also is the ability to own voices. And in the metaverse, there's this concept of ownership around items, and definitely is one of the things that we're exploring on, for example. Also, the sonic identity is not only about the voice. For example, Voicemod, when we think about sonic identities, we think the whole set of sounds, ambience, reactions, voices that allow you to communicate. Because at the end of the day, this is about evolution of human connection, of human communication. And what the metaverse allow us is creates this synthetic world that basically enable us to be able to apply the whole set of technologies that we have. For example, our users are using a lot short sound clips to react to things happening in the conversations. Like we are using emojis in a chat today.
Wow.
They're using audio files. They are using even backgrounds of different environments. Like if I put myself now a jungle sound in the background, or to create immersive experiences, to create environments, can be really have many different aspects to it. So I can even use Voicemod only for, let's say, I want to put my voice deeper. I want to put my voice, with an echo. I want to like a sound like a more podcasty, like a more radio kind of voice. But I can also use these tools to the communication and the regular connection with humans. Like, as I mentioned, we see this very similar, like you and me used everyday GIFs and emojis and this kind of things in text chats. And this is what is happening with the evolution of audio communication.
Very interesting point. And I actually do see the potential of using something like Voicemod as known as a podcast producer, as for podcast production, especially if those who haven't got a radio-friendly voice. Is a great way of enhancing your voice, make it sound more radio-friendly, especially if you've got a very thick accent and you can't be understood in countries that might not necessarily understand. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. For example, with this neural network technology that we're working on, we can even make my accent look better. So I don't have this Spanish accent speaking in English. So we can really work on that more. As I was mentioning, the inclusion part is also very important for us. So creating equal opportunities for all the people is also about this beautify effect. There's always this conversation around, I don't like my voice. When I hear my voice, no, that this is everyone when hear his voice recorded, it was like, I don't hear that voice, I hear another voice. So I don't like my voice. So there's always this, I don't like my voice topic with people. And we can make that you like your voice, basically. So this is why for us it's super important, this statement around sound like you want to sound and be heard like you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And also I can see the potential for, say, the non-verbal community as well. From there can get a voice online. And also on the flip side, I don't know, can we also potentially make deep fakes out of this?
As all the new technologies in the world, every time you are working on the age of technology, you are working, that can be used for good or for bad purposes. I would say that's inherent for us, that we are working on building the future of something. So we are thinking on building the future of social interactions. Obviously, our aim and our goal is that every single interaction is a good interaction, is a positive interaction, as I mentioned. We're thinking on inclusion, we're thinking on bringing people tools to express themselves and to really be themselves. But that also has a flip side. So our approach on the flip side is basically try to make the technology as safe as we can. So we are building in watermarking, we're building in technology-wise, putting the tools needed to have the most amount of safety that we can on this kind of technology. But this seems to me that the trend on audio and augmented audio and with all of these AI-based algorithms that are being created every month, this is something that will come sooner or later. So what we are trying to be is part of the solution rather than part of the problem. We're working on that trust and safety part of it.
It's really good, encouraging words to hear there, Jamie, because I think that everything like this is a tool, and we should always be using this as responsibly and not trying to harm one another, but really trying to enhance and make the world easier for everyone out there.
As I mentioned, this is one of the challenges of working on the age of technology at the end of the day. So we're facing these kind of topics, and what we're trying to do is be conscious about it and work towards being part of the solution. That I think is what we need to do.
Now, as this podcast is more about high technology and impacts on society and environment, how do you envision the world of digital in, say, 5-10 years?
It's a very difficult question, because what I'm thinking, how my mind works is like I'm thinking on the digital world 10 years ago. Because 10 years ago, I was already working at Voicemod, and this changed I mean, suddenly it changed everything. And suddenly something's not that fast. But I think what happens, what is changing on the evolution of the digital worlds is, and what I think it will change the most is the spaces.
Yeah.
So what changed a lot in these 10 years and what I see from the next 10 years is spaces in which people interact and how people interact. So the amount of things you can do within an interaction online today, it has nothing to do with 10 years ago. But I'm pretty sure 10 years from now, we will be able to basically almost feel like you and me are in the same place and we can grab objects and we can show us things. So I think those human interactions in the digital space I think is the thing that is going to evolve the most. So creating a more close to real life feeling when interacting on the digital worlds.
Wow. And what else is driving your curiosity right now, Jamie?
Well, I'm pretty curious now with crypto, NFTs, and the world of how the metaverse is evolving around owning assets, around these collections, CryptoPunks or this kind of collections, but also like minting art and owning a unique piece of art. So I think this just started and in my opinion has a very promising future because it can be very related with the metaverse. And I'm one of the believers that this is going to be part of the future of social interactions. I think I read this week that the Razer CEO was saying something like, the metaverse will blow and then we will compensate the time we spend on the real world and on the digital world. So that's what he expects. And this is basically what I expect too. So I love real life.
Yes.
But I think, for example, us as a company, we have many people. Well, basically now we are fully remote company. So everyone is in his place and we are basically hanging out in this digital world that, by the way, who says this is not already the metaverse, because we're basically making those interactions in a digital space,
Exactly.
but it's not exactly maybe the Snow Crash or the Ready Player One kind of metaverse that we have in our heads. So at the end of the day, I think these evolutions will make our life better when all the time we are on the digital worlds. That for me, for example, is a lot of time every day. And I think this crypto NFT shift to it is really interesting. And also it's like, I feel like we are seeing history. It's like it's happening right now. This just started.
Yes, right. I think we're just witnessing a brand new world that's been birthed right in front of us. And I think like all things in the future, just the breadcrumbs are there. We just need to make up the loaf, like one of my favourite sayings here on the show. Yeah, I think it's a very exciting time to be alive. When we witness, and I'm looking for the day too that not just the metaverse, but we can have holograms. So we have a mirror, and I can look like I'm in Valencia. You look like I'm here over here in Perth, and we're not looking at a screen. We're actually looking at each other in like a 3D sort of hologram. I think that'd be a very cool thing to witness.
Yeah, I mean, the big techs are working obviously on that kind of interactions. Facebook, Google of the world, they are working on creating that kind of interactions. And I think the future is probably a mix of both metaverse and that kind of 3D. I feel like I'm in that place kind of.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, I'm enjoying our chat this morning / afternoon. Finally, before I let you go, where else can our audience find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter. You can find Voicemod at www.voicemod.net. There you can, download our software and enjoy the audio experiences. So I guess you have all the links there.
Is it coming onto Mac yet? Or last time I checked, it was just on PC?
It's coming to Mac by the end of the year. We just announced it we have these sessions on Discord with our community, live sessions with people of the team. So we just announced it in the last session last week. Yeah. By the end of the year, we're hoping to have a version on Mac.
Jamie, muchas gracias for coming on to the show this afternoon. I really enjoyed our chat. Thank you once again.
Once again, thank you for having me, Dave, and enjoy your afternoon.
And thank you to Jaime for his input. Now, I'll give you a hint for next week's shows coming up. See, we discussed visual, we discussed audio. There's another sense that we have not discussed, and it's very important, and that's haptics, or touch. Now, I've got a very special guest, a lecturer from Edith Cowan University here in Western Australia, who's a renowned expert and authority on this subject. And this will be a very exciting, very fascinating aspect of the metaverse. There's a huge gap in the content about it. No one's really talking about this one, on how haptics can enhance your experience online. So listen out for that next time on The Friendly Futurist. Now, The Friendly Futurist is a Podcast West production. It's been produced and edited by me, Dave Monk, further editing by Alvin Lacerna. If you love the show, the best thing you can do is download the Acast app, start listening, leave a review. That way we can grow this podcast within the Acast ecosystem, the largest podcast ecosystem in the world. If you don't want to use Acast, that's not a problem. Find wherever you find a good podcast, make sure you just subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Help us grow, help us spread the word about the future. And if you really love the show, please can support us via a donation or a tip on Buy Me a Coffee, details in the show notes. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, look for Dave Monk Enfield CPM, or you can follow me on Twitter, or if you've got an idea or you like to appear on this show, please leave us a line at newsdesk@podcastwest.com.au. I'm looking forward to hear some amazing projects all the future heads all around the world are doing right now. Remember, this is a future and this is all about revolutionary optimism. Until next week, friends, remember to stay curious and the future is user-friendly.
Another podcast